Recently, I was giving a lobbying training to a group of people, and one of the questions asked was, how many of you registered to vote? And it turned out that a little over 40% are not registered to vote. And this was a group of college students, so in my mind, I imagine that that's reflective of the general population. So I was a little bit surprised, 40% not registered to vote. But it gave me great hope. It gave me great hope. Because you're our hope. You who haven't registered to vote, or you who are registered but don't vote, you're our hope. The bad guys are winning. We are in multiple crises. So I'm a 60s kid. And my first president that I was really aware of and a fan of was John F. Kennedy. And he said that the future belonged to the young. So we were a very, my growing up was so different than my sons who were teenagers during the Bush years and were so disenfranchised, felt so helpless against the machinery. That was so different than my growing up, where I felt like there was a huge we, and we had to take charge of how we were being governed. And so look at how much came out of that baby boomer generation, right? That 60s generation. Civil rights, workers' rights, women's rights, and that might all seem very academic to you, but I mean, my life was so different than you who are growing up now, so different. I wasn't allowed to wear pants to school. We had to fight for the right for girls to wear pants to school. And we finally won that right when I was in high school. Women didn't have the right to get their own credit card without a man signing until 1974. I was 23 years old by then. When we weren't allowed to be astronauts, there was so much we weren't allowed to do. We had to fight for the right. So, what galvanized? What galvanized a whole generation? In my view, it had a lot to do with the Vietnam War. In my view, every single night we were watching on the TV horrific things. Babies being burned. Oh, in the name of peace. Name of freedom. We're going to free those people who we were burning. But more than that, every single one of us had somebody close to us who had died in that war. 18-year-old. But we grew up. These were our classmates. These were our neighbors. These were our best friends. And they were dead, or they were coming home lame, without legs, without an arm, without sight. Every family was personally affected. And it was going to happen to, those with the 18-year, those are the seniors who went off. But now you're a junior, now you're a sophomore, now you're in 8th grade and middle school. You knew your turn was coming. So a whole generation galvanized around the untold suffering we were witnessing. And I think that level of suffering is happening now. I know it's happening now. A lot of it is kept from the TV. But still, you're aware that the United Nations said we're only 12 years away from not being able to breathe on this planet if we don't do something different about climate change. You know that our foods have toxins in them because the presidents and vice presidents and lobbyists of Monsanto end up being placed as the head of our FDA and approving all kinds of things in our food supply that have not been tested for safety, right? The stuff that's going on the border, we're actually kidnapping children. We're kidnapping children, babies, putting them in cages. This is torture beyond anybody's imagination to take a baby, grab a baby, rip a baby away from its mother's arms and put it in a cage with 100 other crying, traumatized babies. So, so I believe that suffering's happening now, and we need you. We need you. We need you to step up. We're losing the battle without you. The bad guys are winning. Greed, selfishness, narcissism, bullying, it's winning. Untold, sadistic cruelty is running the world. Racism in our faces. Black boys are being shot in the back for being black. The elderly are being threatened with not having Medicare. So, you who aren't voting, the shape of the world is in the shape it's in without you. Your world is calling for you. Safe food is calling for you. Safe water is calling for you. The animal species are calling for you. The whales are calling for you. I'm calling for you. You know, some of you might think, well, what's the point of voting? What's the point of voting? It's such a dishonor to me and to all the people who've dedicated their lives that allow you now. Girls can wear pants to school and so much more. Right? Step up. Vote. You're our hope. You're our hope. Step up. We need you.